Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Wenhao for a track by an act named Stefanie Sun. It's part of their custom monthly music review titled I'm Not Sad, and if we switch over to here we have the track on Spotify. We're going to listen through this from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do this. Boom. Where are we going with this? It's 5 minutes 20, so it's got a bit of heft to it, but that's okay. It's not like we haven't listened to longer tracks in the past, it's fine. Oh, nice work with the guitars, man. It's nice to have the lead on the right and the strumming on the left. Ah, fantastic presence in the center field for the vocals. Such a chill, gentle, comforting progression there at the end. Nice use of the parallel minor there, eh? We're displaying a fundamental... Hang on. Yeah, I've just realized it's doing the thing. This keyboard of mine that I spilled coffee on is doing the thing where it doesn't want to press the space button. They're going to have to buy a new keyboard tomorrow, I think. Yeah, sorry. Like, they're using interesting parallel minor chords, playing around with expectations within the key signature, and it makes it more kind of unpredictable and exciting because of that. Nice inclusion of the strings as well. A little bit of more emotional kind of pull. Oh, fantastic head voice. Is this like a double chorus? Or is that the bridge and now we're at the chorus? I'm not sure. I'm unsure how to interpret it. The title of the song is I'm Not Sad, and she doesn't sound entirely like she's not sad. Sounds bittersweet. Nice little bluesy melody with the vocals. Oh, guitars now, okay. Let's bring it up a little bit. Her vocal technique, by the way, is absolutely flawless. It's stunning. Love this vibrato there, a little bit of inflection there. Nice. I thought we were going to go into a solo there, but I remembered we have another part of the chorus here, don't we? It's typically how we do it. Great job here with the solo. A little bit of a fuzzy guitar tone there. I don't think we wanted to quite commit to a guitar solo there, but it was nice for the drums to come up with that, you know. It does make me wonder what we're going to have next, even though I suppose you may not be aware of this, but this is the typical length of a track nowadays. I mean, I'm not sure what the words are saying. We do have lyrics, again, provided by Wenhao, so I appreciate that. To look for after this. Nice little break of the groove there, you know, not just sticking with the straight eighth notes, you know. What I love about her vocals as well is she never goes beyond that sort of midpoint. She constantly does this thing where like she sticks you in the center field, and yeah, it's just it's fantastic. Now, a little break there was sensational, dude. And that little, the panning there of the drums as well, because you know, that's so clever. It's just little design decisions we have there, you know. At this point, I'm familiar and comfortable and happy with the textures I'm hearing. But, okay, Stefanie. Oh, some Queenish harmonies going on there, the leads from, you know. It slaps. There we go. That's what we're talking about, boys and girls. What a banger of a track. I genuinely think this is like Stefanie Sun is one of my favorite artists or musicians that I've listened to throughout these reviews I've done from this part of the world. There's never been disappointment or apathy from my part. I've always been intrigued. It could be a sign of the times, because I personally feel as if we were a little bit more experimental with some of the alternative rock from that period. I like the sound of the crickets as well. I love the sound of the nature. It kind of makes you want to go out into the wilderness and go sleep in the fields, you know? But that's phenomenal. Phenomenal effort from Stefanie Sun on I'm Not Sad. I don't know how big this is for you. It's somewhat reasonably sized for me. You might have to squint a little bit to be able to see it. But we've got the lyrics here, you know, for I'm Not Sad by Stefanie Sun. What is this about? Standing at the door of your house again, repeat the silence. Oh, so this person's moved on from her, I assume, okay? New and the old, I'm not there for you when you're lonely. Damn, man. Do you know what? I just want to take a moment to appreciate that even though, like, I personally sometimes feel so lonely when I'm going through stuff, you know, relationships. I'm sure a lot of other people do. Most people do. And it's weird that I think we struggle with each other's relationship kinship, you know, like we struggle to communicate with other people because we're all going through everything. But we can also attach ourselves so deeply to a song that's kind of doing the exact same thing if you think about it. I suppose even if anything it's even less of a mutual thing, I suppose, because the person's just making a song and telling you about it. But I love the fact that Stefanie Sun and other musicians are expressing their vulnerability, their humanity. I think that communication is really important, and within reason, of course. You don't just ruminate and drown yourself in it, but I think that if you can articulate yourself well, it's really important to do so. Yeah, so I think that Stefanie just wants this person to go, to be out of her life, just so that it can be done. Forget everything and live happier than you. Oh, okay, so we're going to eventually move on from this person, and we will just find peace outside of the situation that we're in. I can never really be sure where I need to position the mic. It's like a big, gigantic friggin' ice cream. I'm not sad. I just don't understand why the tears are flowing. Yeah, sometimes you just don't understand why stuff is such a struggle, such a pain in the butt, you know? It's like, why is this tearing me apart? Why do I have to feel like this? Stop saying that maybe it's for the best. It's better to break up now to put it off again and again when you don't love me. Let me go of your hand and leave your side. I'll move on. This will be my real relief. Okay, I get it. I get what this track is about. Because this is the conclusion of my SP Patrons video for this track by Stefanie Sun, titled I'm Not Sad. I think this track, as I mentioned in this lyric section, is about someone who has been in a relationship and they're kind of teetering on the edge of a collapse, and they're trying to figure out what to do next, and there's someone else involved, and maybe this person who used to be in a relationship, Stephanie's being led on by this other person, and she's just sick of it and she just wants to get out. That's basically the vibe that I got from this track. Hopefully I'm not too far off. I think that it's a story that a lot of people will be able to relate to, and I think it's important. I think it's great that Stephanie is showing some vulnerability there. Not necessarily a unique perspective, but one that will attract an audience. I think that her vocals are sensational. She has a great understanding of vocal technique. Her chest and her head voice were fantastic. Lots of little bits of legato and ornamentation and vibrato, and those melodic runs are sensational. And we had a great sense of dynamic range as well. We knew when to sort of put more emphasis on notes and sort of step away a little bit and show a little bit of sensitivity, a bit more extra sensitivity. Oh, actually on either end, little fluttery, kind of clever little spinny bits where we kind of worked those notes the way we needed them to. But for the most part, it was more trying to sort of focus on the storytelling rather than showing how well we can sing, and I appreciate that as well. And her voice, the texture of her voice, the coloration of that, and how those melodies interweaved not only with the hook, but also in the verse sections and everything else is stunning. It's not only the ability to be able to sing, but also to harmonize with other instruments like the guitar, lead guitars and stuff like that, and strings, and make it work. And I think Stephanie had it absolutely nailed. The motif itself was engaging and interesting. We didn't just have like a one note bass line or like even 4 chords. We worked with lots of different chords within the triad, but not only that, we worked with parallel majors and minors and really fluttered around with it. Fluttered? Why am I using fluttered? We're not talking about butterflies. We experimented with the listener's expectations and constantly surpassed them, or sort of like ran around them sideways. I like the fact that there were little twists and turns harmonically within that, but it was still engaging and memorable. I think part of that was the way Stephanie sings, but also I think that there's a great sort of sense in the way that we did these cute little bass transitions. Like the bass line was really active when it came in. And I think that if you're going to have an active bass line that explores the fretboard, you kind of need to have a harmony that messes with that kind of movement as well. Things need to sort of have a sense of unison. If you have too much contrast, it can be a little bit weird for the listener. The actual structure of the track was like a verse, maybe verse, bridge, chorus, or like a bridge and a verse and a double chorus, and then there was like a little interlude section and sort of builds and stuff. I think that 5 minutes 20 is the right amount of time for this track. I firmly believe that we used the real estate well. Even if it is a longer track nowadays, it was still the time was used extraordinarily well, and I've got nothing but love for the effort put in by everyone involved within that. I listened to this and I think, how could we have possibly, improved the actual way it was done? I definitely can't see any improvements that need to be made from an actual performance perspective. The bass, the guitar, the drums, the strings, everything in there was absolutely sensational. Again, I'm not going to say it's a unique arrangement there with those elements, but I think each of them was done in a way which was impactful. I love the several different drum tones that we had. I think we had some filled sort of more like sample drums in one of the early choruses, and then we kind of committed to it later on with the full acoustic kit. The different guitar, different sort of sounds of the guitar, like the steel string, and then like the kind of filtered lead part on the other side of the stereo field. Like we haven't gone production yet. The production's pretty dope as well. But just the awareness of splitting those two apart tonally so that we can make the song sound wider and kind of envelop the listener is really cool. I think as well, there were little articulate drum fills throughout there that really were memorable and meaningful. The transitions were damn near seamless. It's one of those tracks where it's like, I can just tell we put more effort than we maybe even needed to into it, but it was like the least we could do, I suppose, for her audience, and Stefanie Sun's an absolute star for that. I'd actually like to do a top 5 Spotify of her stuff. I think we will if we haven't done it already, and I'd like to review an album of hers, simply because at this point I am innately fascinated by her work, and I've always had a good time with it. So that's something, a little spoiler alert for anyone watching this. I think that the production, the recording limiting, and mixing and mastering was splendid. The actual quality of the vocal recording was exceptional. The EQing and effects change, everything like that was fairly minimalist, but still kept a great presence in the mix. There wasn't a lot of vocal overdubbing or any sort of manipulation like that, which I think made a lot of sense because Stephanie is just a fantastic vocalist. The other instruments were leveled well in the mix, nicely glued, bit of compression and stuff like that. The filtering there, no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum, nice and wide and stereo field. The limiting compression was absolutely fantastic. Nice sense of dynamic range in there as well. No weird pumping or anything like that. And I think finally, if on a comment about the production in general, it sounded like we played all those instruments. I like the fact we had that analog sort of acoustic-ish kind of recording there. Obviously, aside from the more sort of synthetic elements, well, not synthetic, but like the distortion, you know, it just had a great sort of warmth and maturity and polish to it that I firmly appreciate, and it's something that I miss nowadays. As much as I love my EDM and my dubstep and stuff like that, and I kind of need it to go the whole way either way. I can't really handle it too well personally, subjectively, when there's like a little bit of the synthetic kind of edgy kind of electronic stuff, and it's just not enough to really make it stand out. With it seems like kind of weird and naked to me. That's something we'll get into at another time. It's not directly relevant here, but I think that Stefanie Sun did a fantastic job, and it makes me want to listen through the rest of the album. But effectively, this is my review of Stefanie Sun's I'm Not Sad. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Stefanie Sun some love via our various social medias and her Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands Out.